imagine more stories that soar, business, life, and so much more. Laughs, lessons, and local delight. It's the podcast that feels just right. It's the Imagine More podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Imagine More podcast, where we introduce you to the incredible people, businesses, nonprofits, and community leaders who make Moore County such a wonderful place to live, work, and play. I'm your host, Rose Young. Today's guest is someone many of you know through his work in our community, but perhaps not everyone knows the story behind the man. Jeff Hutchins has spent a lifetime serving others, from working in long-term care to leading Penick Village through the years of growth and transformation. Did I say Penick correctly?
You did.
Okay, good. To helping leaders and organizations find clarity through Hutchins Advisory Services. Jeff has dedicated his career to helping people move forward with purpose. He's also a husband, father of 4, community volunteer, outdoor adventurer, and someone who believes that good leadership begins with listening. Jeff, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Rose.
I have to tell you, when I started reading through your background, I was amazed at the number of roles you've held over the years. And even knowing you, I didn't know even half of these things. So let's see. You've been a nursing assistant, social worker, activities director, executive director, CEO, leadership coach, consultant, and community volunteer. What really struck me is that no matter what title you held, the common thread seems to be serving people.
Yeah, it's been a real blessing and opportunity, and honestly, probably got that from my parents and just kind of instilled at a young age.
Oh, yeah, how so?
You know, I think my first job was newspaper, delivering newspapers. Yeah, that's not on the resume anymore and mowing lawns.
Yeah.
But it's just the opportunity to kind of help a neighbor and do those kind of things. But I always saw my parents doing that along the way.
Really? And you think that's what led you towards social work and serving others?
Yeah, I think, what led to social work, this is true confession, is I'd started in mechanical engineering. And the joke is at Georgia Tech, my wife was my major. And we were either on one dean's list or the other. And so true confession, I left Georgia Tech probably just before they asked me to leave. And because I was just paying attention to Severine. And so when I was going to take a year off, and my parents were like, I had a brother who had taken a year off and never went back. And they were like, you got to take something. And so at NC State, I took an accounting course and a social work course. And I thought I could probably knock out that social work degree pretty quickly and get this done in school. So that was how I kind of got through that. And that's how I kind of started on that. So
that sounds similar to what happened with me. But Jeff, do you think it was synchronicities that made it happen?
Oh, you mean like the Police, that album? That's right.
No, I mean like that's what was meant to be.
I think so. Well, I actually, when I was 16, I was working in a nursing home, and I thought, I think I want to be a nursing home administrator. My parents are like, and with best intentions, like, you're good at math, you need to be an engineer. I'm like, okay, all right. So that's how I started in mechanical engineering. So I'm probably one of the few social workers with calculus as an elective.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
calculus. Oh, that's scary.
Yeah. Integrals, differentials, area under a curve. Yeah.
So you worked your way through many different positions before becoming your CEO that you were. What did those early jobs teach you that still influence how you lead today?
I think it was really those who were doing the hands-on care that made such a significant difference in people's lives. And then also seeing, I think working the floor is where I really learned, in sickness and health. I think about Mrs. Bowman visiting her husband. He had something happen where he was bedbound, and we turned and positioned him every 2 hours, and he was tube fed. And she visited him every day for 10 years and probably missed 10 days due to snow. So thinking about in sickness and health, right?
Right.
And then also I had this opportunity for these coworkers who were about 10 years older than I were. So they were in their early 20s. I was 16. They kind of all took me under their wings, and they had all done what I'd done, and then they grew up to be nurses, nursing home administrators, and they were kind of leading the charge at this place.
Yeah.
So I thought, I think I could help in this field. This seems like they could be, the places might be a little better than what I was experiencing. And so that's kind of where I got passionate for. And the residents and their stories were amazing. And so it's just kind of a interesting passion and just really amazing people who were at a unique stage of life. And I learned probably more from them than, I probably ever helped them. It was amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
So did you sit and listen to them and let them talk and tell you stories?
When I first started working, it was funny. It was like residents could smoke in the dining room.
Oh, gosh. Yes. Okay.
So
before it was bad for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like if you took the clock off the wall in the break room, like you could see exactly where it was. I mean, yeah, it was, it was North Carolina in the 80s. And so it was but like I would sit, like after you get everyone kind of settled for the night, I worked second shift. And so around 9:00, there'd be like one or two residents kind of hanging out at watching TV in the dining room, and they wanted to smoke their cigarettes. And so I'd be, I guess, secondhand smoking with them and just hanging out.
Really?
So,
Oh,
until
that's cool,
last
Jeff.
rounds. Yeah.
That's a tough job. I mean, that's not for everyone.
I learned a lot. Actually, Rose, the first day, someone pooped on me. Like the very first day. The entire staff. I can remember Ron. There was a guy named Ron and like the nurses, and they're like, he's not coming back. And I showed up the next day and they were really surprised.
And you were only 16. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I'd come back.
Yeah. It was the only time the resident smiled.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So,
well, at least you got him to smile.
Yeah, that's right. I got him to smile, and I thought, that's kind of taught me like, how do you, what's important? Okay, he's smiling.
So, was there a person or experience early in your career that helped shape the leader you've become?
I think there are, like in various stages. I had at NC State, like when I started working at a nursing home there, Jan here was just amazing to kind of take me under her wing. She was the social worker there and just kind of was a partner as I kind of went through that part of school. And then there was a gentleman named David Piner who recently passed away, who just really took me under his wing. And he's probably 17, 18 years older than I am. And so he was a director of a retirement community in Winston-Salem and just kind of took me under his wing and just helped me and like would send me things from policy to have me, show up on his doorstep and tell me how to prioritize things but just a spirit, funny, joyful, and also the biggest thing he gave me and another friend of mine who was a director of a place in Charlotte, he gave us permission to say, be yourself.
Yeah.
Be yourself and format the place that, works for you, but make sure it works for the residents too. And the staff and everybody. So that was a real gift that he gave. And honestly, I've talked to him even about some of the gigs that I've had post long-term care. And he's been great on that. Yeah. So he was an artist. He performed in plays and he was, oh my gosh, he was so much fun. And he could do any voices and oh my goodness.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, very, very fun.
So what advice would you give someone who is early in their career and hopes to become a leader someday?
I think the advice I would give is that learning to filter the noise. There's a lot of information coming at you when you're in a leadership role. And people are focused on their priorities as they should be. But I would say the advice that I got is like, when you're the leadership position, you're conducting the orchestra. So that means that you might know how to play some of the instruments, but you probably shouldn't be playing the instruments. You got to trust your people to do that and lead their sections.
Right.
And then, so you might have to work with that section for a little bit, but you got to trust your leaders. And, and I think that is, when you're a young leader, you think, I've got to be able to do everything. You're like, no, I got to find the people who do the right things. And then I know I fell into that trap. But I think you're the conductor of the orchestra. So you have certain responsibilities and the people who play the instruments have a different set of responsibilities.
Right.
And then you got like the audience who are like, we want you to play this song, but you're like, but that's not the song that serves the greater good of the organization. So you got to kind of work your way through that. So I think just understanding that your job is to move the organization forward, set timelines, follow through on those timelines, but really, really make sure you find the people who can meet the mission or the vision well and help them do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, and I know that you always say, leave it a little bit better than you found it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So one of the things I admire most about your career is that you didn't just manage the organizations. You actually helped transform organizations, Jeff.
Well, I think you're being really generous. I think there are a group of people who are helping that make that happen, and so I got to be a lucky part of that. Yeah, I've been able to be part of a few organizations that, from Penick Village to a church to, another organization that kind of needed a little bit of help turning around. But it was really just an opportunity to connect with the great people and everybody kind of working together and keeping focused and seeing if we can make the place hum. And then, the next generation is working right now, like to make it sing really beautifully. So it's really kind of fun.
I love your musical analogies.
Yeah. Well, that was also training from a mentor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you led Penick Village for nearly 20 years. Is that right?
I worked there for a year and then I was for 19.
Okay, and helped guide tremendous growth and transformation. What accomplishments are you most proud of from that chapter of your life?
I think it's my favorite part was really seeing, the residents enjoying a quality of life and, and making great decisions for their own life, quality of life versus quantity of life. And, like there's a difference in that. And so seeing residents feeling really comfortable who are making like, hey, what serves the quality of life, and their families all making those decisions together.
Right.
And then I think probably just seeing the amazing coworkers who were just doing all sorts of wonderful things to uplift and serve the residents. It was my favorite part to see these amazing individuals in all sorts of different positions, just honoring and valuing people.
Yeah.
And I think just to kind of keep it that simple is that I think the residents and all my coworkers really worked to honor and value each other and anyone who walked through those doors. And
that's huge.
And that is, I think that is a precious gift to be able to see and experience and be part of. And so that was a really delightful journey.
Yeah. Well, I know that you often talk about mission and vision and culture. What are those things so important to an organization's success? Why are those things so important?
I think there's some, I also would add in why, why is a place there?
Right.
Like, why do we do what we do? And then I think that then there's the mission is how, what do you do? And then the vision is kind of where you're going. And I think from what I understand about vision is you're probably never going to get there. You're always going to be kind of striving. Like I just think about in marriage, right? For severing my responsibilities to honor and cherish, that's not a one day thing. That's
that's right.
That's like a vision. Like, okay, that's a long term, and she would appreciate that probably too, right? So it's
that's right.
So that vision, and then the mission is, I think it kind of keeps you centered, right? It's analogy that I used to and still do is I draw like a little sailboat for people, and I think that center board is where your mission and your vision and your values are, because the center board makes sure you don't drift.
Okay.
And it's drift from your mission or drift from who you're supposed to be or what your organization is supposed to be.
Yeah.
The sail, the rudder where you steer, those are economic times, those are, conditions of the world, whatever the case may be, or things that come and go.
Right.
But that mission and vision kind of makes sure that you don't drift from what your main purpose of your organization.
Oh, yeah. So. Nice. Many of our listeners serve on nonprofit boards, lead businesses, or volunteer in their community. What's one leadership lesson that applies to all of them?
Buy blueberries from.
I've been hearing lots of blueberries things. Kiwanis just had their blueberry sale. If you didn't buy blueberries, I'll get you next year.
Yeah, it's as I powered through a pack the other day.
Too.
How do you keep it as simple as you possibly can?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
keep
think
it simple.
Yeah. And it's, and I realize that I have complex things that probably shouldn't have been. And I think that but the older I get, the more I think about how do we simplify what's the most important thing. Like if there's a meeting that you're having, just 2 to 3 things on the agenda.
Right.
I think it seems to me that everyone in society is a little bit overwhelmed with all the information that's kind of coming at them.
Right.
So how do you keep it simple? Like, what are the main purposes that you're trying to accomplish? Like, hey, here are the 3 goals that we want to discuss and just describe what a successful outcome looks like. And then also, I think understanding, the what are you trying to accomplish is very different than how you're going to accomplish. And then identifying who's responsible for the what and who's responsible to implement the how.
Yeah.
And so I think those are, volunteers. And it's not that things don't kind of drift, across those two together. But I kind of picture it as a Venn diagram that the what and the how, there's an overlap, but there's probably some pretty clear spaces on either in those circles that are individuals. So I think trying to keep it as simple as possible. And and one of the examples is that, and I use this probably way too often now, but it's like you and I know both very experienced people. If you were told and I were told we need to get to Seattle.
Right.
No map. You're going to drive. No map. No phone you get to use. You and I could probably both get there, but we probably go two very different ways.
Probably. So I'd ask a lot of questions.
Yeah,
and stop and ask directions. Would you?
I would, but I probably wouldn't remember once I finished getting. I'm like, I heard the first two. I'll be like, oh, I'll get there. And then someone's like, did you ask? I didn't write all of it down, but I kind of think where we're. So, but it's I'd have to ask multiple times. But I think the thing though is you'd have a very different way, but you'd get us to Seattle, and I have a different way. You might go southwest, and I might go up to North Dakota and cut across that way. So I think those are respecting those individualities can get us to the same destination. But I think that is kind of one of the things that, again, the older I get, the more I think there's really significant value of clarifying this is where we're going, and then I'm like, go. What direction you want to go?
Yeah, I like your idea of keeping it simple because many times I'll go to board meetings and there'll be so many things on the agenda, and I'm overwhelmed right when I sit down about how in the world are we going to get through all this? You know?
Yep.
Yeah. And then also respecting people for knowing what they know what to do and letting them do it.
Absolutely. And that's, a nonprofit, and I think a lot of folks volunteer in nonprofits and their churches and all those kind of things.
Right.
And it's just, the simple thing is, what are we trying to accomplish? And honestly, this is a conversation that I learned this at the Brief Lab is what's the minimum definition of success?
Okay.
And I love that because I think
the Brief Lab?
Brief Lab is an organization that serves our special forces community and Fortune 500 companies on clear, concise, lead communication.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh, we should all take that.
Yeah.
So when people look to a leader during difficult times, how do you create clarity when everything around you feels so uncertain?
I think it is one step at a time. And also clarify that there is ambiguity is going to be clear here. I think about we live in a community, for those who are maybe listening outside of Moore County, that there was a power outage due to shooting up some transform stations back in December 2022.
Right.
And I remember being in a meeting where I kind of went through here are the steps that we're going to take, and someone said, okay, are you done? I'm like, yep. And they asked 10 questions.
Oh, wow.
And they were like, go. And I was like, okay, you're going to have to repeat the first question because I can't remember all 10. And I had a great faith that they had written the questions down. And as I listened, I realized that, it's there's a lot of uncertainty. And so really what we're doing is we're looking for the next one right step.
Okay.
And then, it's kind of like when you're lost, driving is back before cell phones. And, it'd be like, well, we're going to go right here. If that's wrong, we're going to turn around, we're going to come back out that road, and we're going to go a different way.
Exactly.
And I think it's just simplifying, saying, no, we are only responsible for the one next right step, and then we'll see what that looks like. And I have another leader who told me this that I really love is our job is to make the best effort and let go of the outcome.
Oh.
So if you think about here's what the next one right step is, see what that outcome is, make the next one right step.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
And if the outcome shows that wasn't the right step, recalibrate and take the next one right step.
And it's okay if it's not the right step.
Yeah, it's right. I mean, I'll tell you, I haven't met anyone perfect, and I'll tell you, I sink faster in water than most.
Yeah.
So it's I think there is just reminding ourselves research and development. And that's the other thing I think about nonprofits is that, and churches and all organizations really is we got to realize that research and development, when you're moving an organization forward, is that there are going to be some mistakes along the way, and learn from them. And just, if they're not the right thing, just fix them.
And remember,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that. So what do you think the biggest mistake organizations make when it comes to leadership?
Oh, I don't know if I could speak for most organizations, is that I think I probably could just refer to myself as probably the best way to say that, is that I think everyone is so busy right now, and I know I've been really busy, is finding that quiet time just to think.
Right.
Like slowing the world down in the midst of the chaos, like taking that 20 minutes, or if someone's like, I need a decision right now, understanding, was it the Eisenhower grid, where it's the urgent, important, not urgent. There's a grid out there, but it's like where you and I are spending some quality time together. There's if there's a fire, if there's a safety issue, if there is a security issue, those are the three things that, stop the car.
Right.
But everything else is probably like, can you give me 24 hours? Can I think about that?
Yeah.
I want to come up with a really good solution. And just taking time to really, if you can, just really think about understanding where you have to make a critical and urgent decision.
Yeah.
Like if in healthcare, if it was a life-saving thing or but
of course.
I think, but a lot of organizations you can take some time to think about it.
Take some time to think it through. You don't have to make a decision right this second.
Yeah. But I think my impression of society is right now is like, can you give me an answer right now? I'm like,
the bigger, the better, and the faster you can do it.
Yeah, you get a text, you're like, I got to reply to this text. Like, well, do I have to reply to that text right now?
Yeah. There it is. Look at your phone.
Oh, I got to answer all these emails. Oh, wait. So it's,
yeah.
And I think just to understand, like, well, like, can I, or even asking the person who shows up, like, can you give me a day to think about that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, I had a little experience with that yesterday, Jeff. I decided that I was not even going to look at my phone the whole day. So I left it plugged in upstairs, right? And I didn't look at it the whole day.
Wonderful.
I know. I was really proud of myself. And this morning when I got up, I had like 37 texts. One of them from my friend, "Are you still alive? Do I need to call the police? Should I send the fire people out
Wellness
there?"
check. Well, and it's funny. You and I had this exchange yesterday. I'm like, I didn't check my email yesterday, right?
Yeah, right.
So it's
I think that's great.
Those technology Sabbaths, right, where you can just. I find that sitting like in a quiet space outside is where I can do the most.
Is
productive.
that what you're? Oh, okay. So now, after spending nearly 20 years if you count the year that you first got there, with one organization, a lot of people would call that a career. And then maybe retire and travel or whatever. But no, you decided to start a whole new chapter, sir. So what inspired you to start Hutchins Advisory Services?
So when Sabrina and I were closing in on 50, we thought, what else is out there? Like I'd worked in long-term care for almost 34 years. And so we thought, well, what would that look like? What could it look like? And, could we, should we conversation, and worked our way through that. And we took the leap of faith, and, all the amazing people who walked alongside me, I thought, could I share their information with other organizations and small nonprofits that maybe could help them along the way? And I'd had a really great executive coach who, his name was Chuck Chambers, who was, God rest his soul, he was just amazing. And so I reached out to him and said, after I took several months just to have quiet time, just kind of tried to disappear a little bit. And I said, I think I might be interested in this. And he said, yeah, I think you should be interested in this. And so he kind of worked on helping me get, qualified and set up and that kind of stuff. And and that was great. And so, so it started with I think my first client, well, I called two people, one that I knew, and said, would you be interested in like 6 months of coaching that I could, practice on? You could tell me if I'm good at this or if I suck at it.
Yeah. Well, that's a good idea. Yeah.
And then I cold called somebody who I'd been on a Zoom meeting out. He was out in Arizona. He was a regenerative research scientist.
Oh, goodness.
And I'll admit, since I was paying attention to Sabrina, I failed biology, right? Because I was like, and I'm not a big biology person.
Calculus came easy, but biology.
No. And her undergraduate was in biology. So it's like, so she likes anyway. But
well, then you're a good match.
Yeah. She enjoys dissecting things. I'm like, let me dissect a balance sheet. But she is So anyway, I called and left a message, and I was like, this guy's never calling me back. I don't know
right.
anything about someone who runs a lab and, works at a, world-renowned research clinic. And I was like, and then someone called me and said, hey, this guy's asking for your number. And then I worked with him for about 6 months, and then they actually both ended up hiring me. And that's how I kind of got started.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I love how you got started.
Yeah.
So you help leaders and organizations find clarity, purpose, and direction. Why do you think so many people struggle with those things?
I think they all have the ability to do it well. I think they're just really distracted.
Yeah.
I think they're just with so many demands, some that are legit and some that are perceived.
Yeah.
Kind of how do you quiet out the noise and say, what is the most important thing that we work on and that we need to work on today or, this week, and trying to focus on, I've heard of this, if nothing else today, like I've got to do this, right? Understand,
Right.
like, how do you create those priorities? And then I try to keep it to a minimum of like, what are the 3 or 4 main things that you want to accomplish? And I used to, before I went into board meetings, I used to ask the team, I'm like, okay, if you wanted the board members to walk out with one thing, what's the one thing you want them to walk out with?
Yeah.
Because they're all busy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then like, if you're lucky enough to get a second one, what would it be? So focus your presentation on that.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that with my Kiwanis.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Do you have trouble with people on their phone during board meetings?
How about this? Is kind of funny. I remember the first resident who answered her cell phone in the middle of a town hall meeting.
Oh, no.
I also remember seeing the first resident standing outside a building on his cell phone.
Really?
Yeah, some of those transitional moments and that kind of thing where you're like, oh, it's shifting. These times are starting to shift.
Oh,
and,
gosh.
Yeah, and so I think everyone's still distracted by their phones. I know I am at times distracted by my phones.
Yes. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
I try so hard not to immediately, when I'm driving, I hear a ding. And it's like, oh my gosh, I've got to look. Who is it? Oh no. And I try so hard not to look, but sometimes I do. I don't text and drive, but sometimes I do look.
You could ask some people I've made them take vows never to text and drive.
Right.
It's like, I swear that I will never text.
I might need to take that.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty, yeah.
It's very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely dangerous. You've spent much of your career helping leaders and others find their mission. How did you find yours?
That's a great question. I think it took me a while. I mean, I bet you I was in my 40s where I really kind of understood about how I wanted to, and I use these terms when I describe what brought me joy. I think it was just, I was in my mid to late 40s and I was thinking about what do I really enjoy seeing and what helping people and serving, what's the best way? And it's really to honor and value people where they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of where I thought about it. And it's,
okay.
So that's kind of,
I've heard you say that before.
yeah. So that's kind of just what I think about it. It's whether it's, and sometimes I hit the mark, sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet it can be frustrating.
Well, it's, I think it's not that it's frustrating. It's just that sometimes, it's, like I make mistakes just like everybody else. And so I think that it's hopefully you get the right alignment, understanding, and kind of work your way through that. But I think it's really trying to understand where somebody really is. And it's a lot of listening and asking just open questions. Really what coaching is just asking people to think about their thinking.
Okay.
Like, well, why are you thinking that?
Right.
If, and then, and not asking a yes, no question.
Okay.
Yes, no questions are just easy outs.
Right. That's right. So open-ended, get them talking, and they really figure it out. You just lead them to figure out. Is that right?
Well, what I've found and what, part of the training is that pretty much everyone has the answers. It's just helping them kind of clear the path so they can find them.
Yeah.
Because, you're the expert in your own life. You're the expert in the field that you're working in. You're the expert.
Yeah.
So the question is, how do you get yourself quiet and, undistracted to find those answers that you probably already have?
Yeah. Okay.
That's fun.
So for someone listening today who feels stuck, overwhelmed, or uncertain about their next step, what advice would you give them?
I think the question I would probably ask folks to think about is, All right. This is a question I do like to ask is if
Okay.
and it's people look at me like I'm crazy when I ask him like, well, if you did know the answer, what would it be?
Yeah. I'm sure you get some question mark looks.
I do. But what's interesting is that gets someone to think about, well, if I did know the answer, do I know the answer? And then they
Yeah.
start thinking through and like, and then why would that be the answer?
Right.
So I think that I would go back to like, hey, what's the next one right step?
Right.
And then the brief lab, that, minimum definition of success. And,
Okay.
what's the right next one step?
What's the one step you can do? That's right.
Yeah.
And then if it's wrong?
Yeah. Then, this is, I had a conversation with my kid on this one, and actually it kind of came out of the Weymouth parking lot is where we were.
Oh, yeah.
I think everybody was there, and I rode home with her, and she did a K-turn, like to get out of the parking lot, or a 3-point turn. She goes, I'm really great at this. And I'm really great at these 3-point turns. I'm like, well, good for you. And then we were talking about work and what she was trying to do. She goes, but what if I picked the wrong career? And I said, you do the same thing you did in the car. You just a 3-point turn and turn the car around. And I said, and if it's snowing, it's stuck, you get some other people to help you shovel you out and you do the same thing. But it's if you can turn this around, you can turn most things around.
All right. So what is the 3-point turn?
It's the, if you're like in driver's ed, I think, or driver's ed, in your driver's test, when you're in a 2-lane road and they make you turn around. So it's like 1, 2, 3, like you pull like towards the other lane.
Okay.
Then you back up while turning. And then the third point is that you're going the opposite direction.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's probably better than a bootleg turn, which is you
Which
just pull
is?
up the emergency brake and spin the car around.
Yeah.
Which I'm not saying I've ever done that.
Uh-oh.
Easier
I
than
think
manual
he's done
transmission
it. I think
in the
he's
snow.
said it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Weymouth being in the parking lot.
Yeah.
I know that you are helping Weymouth with their mission and their vision and serving as interim director. Tell us a little bit about that, about Weymouth.
Weymouth is an arts and humanities center that creates community. And so they have 3 areas of focus that I really have just enjoyed is literary. So they have this writers in residency program, which is just phenomenal, where folks, I just actually talked to someone this morning who is from California, who is there working on their writing, and they have 8 spots. And so they can have, 400 weeks of residencies, and lots of different people can come in. So they could have 400 different writers throughout the year.
And that's something.
And it's people who have been on the New York Times bestseller to a variety of different things. So it's a really phenomenal program, and it's an affordable program where someone who might just be getting started out, but they have to be published. And so it's just I hadn't had a lot of exposure to it, but I find this just an absolutely amazing part of the mission that really serves this writing community. And for someone who really likes to read, it's been a new kind of makes me enjoy my reading even more, thinking about the process of what these folks are going through.
Yeah.
And then there was this really powerful moment when we were fortunate enough to have writers read from their own works. Like they talk about their book.
I love that. Yeah.
Because they know it so well, and they're reading it the way that they thought it was going to be read. And so I found that extremely fascinating. So the writers program has just been phenomenal. And then we have like this access to and preservation of these historic buildings and grounds. So built in the I think one of the buildings was built in 1916, one was built in the 20s, and it's on 26 acres, and it is these beautiful homes that kind of preserve the history, but it's also just interesting to kind of see, like something that's 100 years old, and which is probably not old compared to Europe standards, but it's for those of us who probably hadn't had a lot of time in some of these, right? So it's a really beautiful place, and it also has so it has this historic home that people get to kind of tour through and enjoy. But we also rent it, so there's weddings, so access to, so the weddings kind of
it's a lovely wedding venue.
Yes, there was a beautiful wedding there over the weekend.
Yeah.
And then there is, other organizations rent it and use it, and then there's, just the history of the Boyd family that, there's horses, hounds, like like I have participated in those things in the equestrian program. I had cats and other weird animals like the kids, lizards and birds, and
no horses.
Horses are slightly bigger. Slightly, yes. And, so there's this amazing thing. And then we have this equestrian program that teaches kids, and some kids who might not have the opportunity, like at the Boys and Girls Club, that, with a sport that's really expensive, but it's the opportunity to kind of, learn responsibility, team responsibility, self-responsibility, community responsibility. Taking care of a horse takes a lot of work. Riding a horse.
A lot of work.
Yeah, and I've ridden a horse, and I have to admit, I am skittish on a horse, which means if I'm skittish, the horse is probably skittish, right?
Right. They do feel your emotions.
Yeah, and these kids are getting this confidence, and it is amazing to see these young people build this confidence and have this responsibility and take ownership, which is, I think, just a life skill that will help them their entire life, which is amazing.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, so which is a lot of fun. And so, I think Weymouth is a gift to our community. It's on 26 acres. Folks walk through there. It connects to the state park behind it, so folks can kind of connect to the trails and see a champion tree and the world's oldest longleaf pine.
Right.
And there is just... It's just a beautiful part of our community. And we also have these amazing group of volunteers called dirt gardeners, who the gardens are heavenly, and the ponds I could just sit by forever and
just
listen.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's volunteers that do all that.
Yeah. And then if you want to see really giant bullfrogs, and
a lot of tadpoles, big giant grandpa fish.
Yes. Yeah. So it's but it's really a neat place. And if you like to read and sit by a pond, that'd be a great place to do it too. And then one other thing, I missed this on the literary part, but it's we have the North Carolina Literary Hall of Fame.
That's
also.
right.
And
I
would say that was kind of a secret that until I really kind of start to understand it, like that might be a Moore County secret that we've got to get out a little bit more.
Right.
And
so come on by. Go see the Weymouth. Go see the Literary Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it is really great.
When are they open, Jeff?
They're open from 10 to 4, and I would like to kind of talk about our new hours.
Yes, please.
So, starting July 16th, it's going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We wanted to switch it so that people because most folks are working through Monday through Friday,
right,
so we're like, how do we get folks on Saturday? We kind of tracked our numbers a little bit, and we think Thursday, Friday, Saturday gives folks the opportunity to kind of scoot through it at better times for them and families and that kind of thing. So that's kind of what we're shooting for.
Oh, I love that. So Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays from 10 to 4, you said?
Starting on July 16th.
Okay, so you should go and check it out. What about the music? I know there's music. Don't forget that.
There is. And actually, we have the Come Sunday Jazz. We have a chamber series. And so we have these amazing artists that come in and just... I would say knock your socks off, to be honest with you.
Definitely.
I remember, and we also do a peachgrass. It's a bluegrass concert.
That's
that will be
up
on July 25th. And it was interesting. Last year, I was working and volunteering there or at that one event, and one band started, and it was one of those ones where you just kind of stopped and you turned your head because they were so good.
Oh,
it was one of those moments for if anyone's had that moment where you catch a song, you catch a band, and you realize, these are game changers. This is someone that you're going to hear about for years to come. And they're coming back. That's Appalachian Smoke. They're coming back this year on July 25th.
Peachgrass, yeah. Oh, and is that a free event, or do I just show up?
It is a event that you can buy tickets at the door, but also we encourage people to buy tickets online, and I would say they're really affordable.
Very inexpensive.
Yeah.
So what would be online? How do they go and find those?
WeymouthCenter.org.
WeymouthCenter.org. Okay.
So, yep.
All right. Well, let's talk about the people who matter most to you, Jeff, because I know that leadership is important, but having known you, I know that family is the most important.
Yeah. Well, that person I majored in college.
Yeah. She's still around.
She's still around, yeah.
So you've been married since 1994, is that right?
That's correct.
Raised 4 children.
Or they raised us.
Or they raised you.
Or still raising us.
Served your community, built a career. What have those experiences taught you about living a meaningful life?
I think that we're not guaranteed anything, that's for sure. And so I think it's building that community, building those friendships, and those friendships and the relationships with your own family take work, and it's work worth doing.
It's true.
It's the most important work. And so, I think that trying to create those opportunities and moments that, and going to see people and taking the time to actually go and see people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you are one that is very big on building relationships. So you start with your family.
Yeah, I do. And
Mm-hmm.
it's and I've got to figure out more. So it's that experience that I don't know if anyone's ever done this experience where there's this person, it's the jar with the rocks.
Oh, yeah.
So where they put in
Uh-huh.
those big rocks first and they're
Right.
full and they're like, is it full? And they're like, no. And then they put in pebbles like, is it
Yeah.
full? And people are like, yeah, it's full. And they're like, no.
No.
And they put in sand and then they put in water and but really, if you don't put in those big rocks first, it won't happen. And we get distracted. Honestly, I had this conversation with my sister yesterday. Even in tough times, like what we were talking about is she knows someone who they lost their first child, like when the child was 5, like woke up one day and said, Mom, I can't see. And it turned out it was an inoperable brain tumor, if I understand. And even they lost that child and were fortunate enough to have 2 more after that. But one of the things that she even said is, even after that, she goes, I know that we talk about and say, we're going to take every moment, we're going to be every moment of life is going to be precious.
Right.
But I don't.
Yeah.
Like we get distracted. And so it's making, that has sat with me obviously for the last 24 hours, but it is just making
that's
sure.
So sad.
But it's also, I appreciated the honesty of someone who has gone through probably the most difficult thing and said,
horrific.
And we still forget. Like, I think, I find it interesting. I've heard this and I think I read this in a book, but there's only one commandment that says remember.
Oh, yeah?
It says remember the Sabbath.
Remember the Sabbath.
And I think it's a reminder for us people that we need to remember to slow down.
That's right.
As opposed to all those thou shalt nots, it's like I like that. I do think about that word remember because I can get distracted with whatever's going on and like, oh wait, I need to go see these kids. When's the next time on the schedule, or when's the next time I go see these folks and that kind of stuff.
Huh. So when all is said and done, talking about legacy, what do you hope your children, colleagues, and community remember most about you?
Oh gosh, I don't know if I need folks to remember stuff about me. I think it's more that I would hope that they remember stuff about themselves versus me. That like if I were fortunate enough to have them remember something about themselves that they might have forgotten, I'd feel better about that.
Yeah, maybe how you made them feel.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. I'll take that.
All right. So before I let you go, we'll do a rapid fire round.
Oh, all right.
So I'm just going to throw out some questions real quick.
All right.
And no thinking.
This is like speed run.
That's right.
We're the speed run. This is the kids say.
Exactly.
Okay.
Mountains or beach?
Mountains.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Favorite place you've ever hiked?
Adirondacks.
Oh. One word your family would use to describe you?
Probably goofball.
Yeah. Best advice you've ever received?
Probably it's okay.
I love that advice. That is good advice.
Yeah.
A book everyone should read?
Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer.
Ooh, I need a good book to read. Say that again.
Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer.
Favorite way to spend a Saturday?
With Severine.
Okay, Jeff, everyone on the Imagine More podcast gets their own jingle. Here's yours.
When the road seems hard to see, Jeff Hutchins brings clarity. Purpose, mission, guiding you, helping leaders see it through.
Rose, you are amazing. And what a gift that you have to spoil not just me, but all your guests, but all your listeners too. So that is delightful.
Thank you,
Thank
Jeff.
you.
Thank you. So if someone would like to connect with you, learn more about Hutchins Advisory Services, or simply continue this conversation, what's the best way to get in touch?
I would think at the info@hutchinsadvisory.com. There's an email address and there's a website at hutchinsadvisory.com. So kind of you can read through that. And then, you can, if you know Rose, you can call her. She can give you my number and, but we can connect that way. But yeah, I'm around.
Okay, perfect. And we'll put the website URL in the podcast description. If there's one thing you'd like our listeners to remember, there's the word remember, about leadership, purpose, and creating a meaningful life, what would it be?
It is work worth doing, and prioritize it.
Prioritize it. Yeah. I just told you I like how you do your priorities. Yeah. Thank you. That's lovely. So this has been such an enjoyable conversation. One thing I've noticed throughout your story is that whether you were serving residents, leading organizations, coaching leaders, volunteering, or raising a family, you've always focused on helping people move forward.
Thank you, Rose. It's, honestly, it's been a gift. I feel like it's just, all these folks are amazing. Everyone is creative, resourceful, and whole, and it's been a gift, and they've shared a lot with me. So it's really been great.
So I think that's something our listeners can learn from. Just, what do you say? Leave it just a little. Say it.
Just leave it a little better than you found it.
He says that a lot. Thank you for sharing your story, your wisdom, and your heart with us today. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Imagine More podcast. My guest today has been Jeff Hutchins of Hutchins Advisory Services. Imagine finding clarity when life feels uncertain. Imagine living a life filled with purpose and meaning. And as always, keep imagining more.
Imagine more stories that soar, business, life, and so much more. Laughs, lessons, and local delight. It's the podcast that feels just right. It's the Imagine More podcast.